Connecting the dots. Visualize high standard interference specification directions. Today in class is going to be a very extremely complicated issue. It's all about understanding how to Vortex locks center lines in rotation interference. Now, it's all positions of vortexing, communication and position of triangles, how to set up plasma lines, interference location calculations. You guys have to learn how to set up plasma webs, highline center interference. I'm going to turn you guys into a sky grid. Now, a sky grid is a platitude line center of a T reception line. It's a communication, force communication line stream. It's position location all levels. So everybody's going to be turned into a TV. The highline center interference is all levels of lacing lines and communications. You have to learn how to merge your system locations calculations, understanding the modification signals when it comes into antennas of the moon, the sun communication. And so it's all about understanding your communication is all levels of balance. Balancing the emotional line center is all levels of position, location, directions. The calculation, modification, and interference location is all levels of zero line center interference. How many times is zero sets position, location, the digital frame line, and rotation calculation? It's all centralized. It's all modified. The singularity line center location is its pi position location in its calculation. High triangling force line communication line streams. Now, as you understand, you have a plasma gel that's inside line center interference, position, location, and direction that holds the signal location to its atom line rotation interference. It opens all communication to its binary reset line. Platitude line center interference location is its code system. Now, this is understanding war trajectory location to its position of time. That opens all communication to your body form. Body form line center in position, location, and directions. Electrical line wires in communication, metric interference location calculations. I9 of sky lines of communications, sky grids, sky surface, sky rotation line interference. There's a lot of things you have to understand that position, location, and directions. All right. So there's going to be a central line communication, code signals, and code weaving line centers. All levels, high line and rotations. I'm going to put you guys in a string theory, high line center. Open all communication line streams, set you guys in position location to honeycomb, high center interference, position locations. Here we go with the high interference. Set signal locations, string theories coming in. Plasma webs, plasma gels, line in line rotations, computer frame position locations, all levels, a 2-vector line interference location to calculation, 2-line position, square box location, signal line center, circle line position location, 3-dot line center interference. One's grounds, one's the median line, one high line rotation interference line condition position of direction. Signal line position, set a graph interference, hold it up to the location hologram structure. Signal interference, position of profile channel communication, Delta Bravo communications, Tango Tango Foxtrot, high line center, Echo Zulu 1, zebra force line, triangle, position, zip zap zoom, line center locations, code signal line, rotation interference, position all levels, sector communications, vectors, quads, high center, interdimensional line interference, and turning line position location. Put them in position location of plasma web of communication line stream. Now, you're in that line connection interference. Okay. Setting up line centers, security measures, parameters, high sectors, and communications, all levels. Putting you guys in position and location to all levels of high line center, to its communication system, to its timeline center, interference line connections, all levels of a plasma web of an energy line connection interference. In position of direction. All right. So that's what you guys are. Right? 25 minutes. Have fun. Understanding connections and how to set line centers and position location of vector communication line interference is all levels of force communication system. Timeline center, time location, time positions, time all travels. Travel communication line interference. Now, To understand how the soul recognizes its timelines, its communication of force communication triangles, it sets position locations on levels, setting new line signals into new position location to its calculation of its flux capacitor, high position location and direction. Okay? Line signal, activate stream, ready to go. Trial position. There you go. High channelized centers. Now understand the ground opening communication line interference puts position locations of a new plasma channel, opens all communication system, star line centers, and rotation calculations, setting new course line channels in all levels of plasma lines. You have to learn how to use the water intake position location of the patterns. There's a plasma gel and position location in the structure. See the nose, see the line center? That's mean intelligence. So, how it sets up position of directions is all levels of U through travel location. Now, inner line is position of directions, puts high lines of communication surface. That opens all communications to heart line center interference. Palpitation high in location. Travel location. All right, so setting position location directions. Heart channels and communication, sonar line interference, in line center rotation calculation. High channel is position of all realms of travel, position location and calculation. Right? Now that's set up in sequence. Now we set the sequence locations. Try to use the 12 DNA line center. You set up the 12 DNA line center, comes into all levels. You always start off with the ground. And remember, this is ground rising, not grand rising. Ground. Okay, the energy of the dome line centers change position location and directions. All right, the more you understand that, the more you understand position location and calculations. So you come into the ground line center. Okay, we set positions. Ground and line center interference, position location and directions. All right, let's change that location. All right, so you got brown and ground line center. Okay. Now, in the direction location is truly how to set up security measures, program setting, the read line center, and interference or relay programs, position locations. It's all levels, high and line. So we scan line rotation. Energy graph location 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 position location and calculations. All right. Now, how to set up an energy graph is simultaneously in position, location, and direction. Setting course channels of communication, light streams, electrical light, electrical panels, high line interference. Comes into a wall line channel. Now, wall line channel sets location. Remember, unidimensional locations, door recognition timelines, lock location, right? See the to the door lines. Now, the door lines have position location of handles and communication system. All right. Now, it's all about understanding how to modify the signals and rotate to the center. Once you understand communication interference, you understand location of all levels, open up communication system, put you in a better plateau. So it's all about using your 12 DNA line center interference, how to high rise a coloration path and put you in position locations, all right? So it's setting up security parameters at all lines of your plasma energy line webs of communication system. This puts you in all levels of detection location. All right. So once you get in that line center, you automatically come into a level of security line, all right, which is your connections to your sacral. If you get that position locations all line interference, you understand the position location of directions, changing shift line triangles, communication to the system, right? There's the triangle line center and the center line. Now that rotates its position locations, merging position of different direction. Okay. Gets more complicated as we go here, but you have to bear with me on all line center interference, up communication, all levels of general, and how general sets things up in space communication. Right? 3 triangle line, force line communication system, allocate timelines. Now you got the electrical lights, all right, you got the electrical line interference, position, electrical line interference, signal and position and directions, setting new computer interference. Now you'll come into the escape line center and rotations into flight navigations at 1 to 12. That sets signals and position location, right? Change the coloration path. Now, as you come into position location, you have to learn how to set circle rotation line centers at ground line interference, and that come into the growth locations. Security measures at all levels, scanning line center in rotation, position location calculations secure all levels, perimeters and parameters, setting lines, shapes of communication and program setting. All right. Now, the next one is its equation line center interference of its position of its solar plexus. Now, the solar plexus has point line center and dots of communication system. All right. So it sets lines in communication, opens all new channels of rotation line interference in position, location, and directions. The atom sits in this center line communication, opens up a new torical field in high center. Communication to another E field line rotation to all position of force communication system to position of traction. Very powerful when you connect all line centers to an energetic line center positioned about high position locations, all levels. A magnetic ball channel. It's a communication stream. It's positioned to a graph line center. It opens all communication systems in your teleportation light. This is where we come into vortex line communication. Okay, this is coming all lines of lock centers. Now, locking center location gives you one atom surface, one position location off calculation, puts positions back in direction, right? Now, once you understand that position, it modifies all levels of view. So it comes at a track interference. Now, in position of directions, it travels. Now, you got your 12 DNA line centers. Now, what happens after location of solar plex line interference? You automatically come in position location to the heart line. So that automatically takes everything locations. Heart generates its lights, change the cube interference. Now we set up a cube line center. Let's see, we go in calculations. I'm going to line graph location. I'll show you what I mean. Setting positions of all box locations. Cubical line connections, which is your data stream. Okay. It's a box and position location of calculation in line center. Okay. Now once you get that line, I'll set that up and I'll show you what it looks like in position of directions. Truly understand the recognition of time and communication. Seeing the box position locations, all levels into your vortex chamber. All right. As you can see, there's a box position in its location. See the box in the center? All right. That's what happens when you're in the center line of communication. All right. So it's protecting your data, your positions of all vortex chamber lines. It communicates at all levels, and we have lock system liners. Now it has a vortex chamber that sets line interference. Now, once you understand the line position locations, number sequence comes in. They come in a high line channel, inner line rotation interference, changing direction locations. What comes after green line center interference? Throw pattern communication system. Voice channel to communication of blue line centers. Now the blue line comes into a line rotation into all position of directions. Okay. All positions of 4-line position location of triangle. I got 4 line centers, right? Now, weaving that line center interference location, coloring it in all position location becomes a plasma water channel. That communicates the pattern line center interference. That puts position location to its line center of communication to all levels of vortex chambers. Position of direction, right? Setting signals in high line centers opens all communication data stream. Sets course line channels to all levels of how you use your metric communication system. Now, coming into line center, go back in communication line centers, into frame line center, interference location of present line communication, open up the channel line box in position of directions. Setting new shadow shades in communication system. Allocate timelines. Now, in rotation line and rotation interference, we change the communication system. What's after position of throat line center? We come into automatically line connections of interference and position of the scepter line communication to all levels of its third eye communication line stream. Now that sets line center and rotations. Remember, you're constantly using your 12 DNA. Understanding communication gives you all levels. It allocates timelines and interference position and directions. Sending new course channels of communication. How you use your data stream is all levels of box system. It's the cubical line center interference position of directions. Setting line centers of interference puts everything back in communication circle. That rotates its system through the position location of time. setting new line centers in high interference and position of directions, setting new channels of operation of line streams of communication, plasma line channel of rotation line interference, position of the grounds, position of the center line opens all level position of calculation into a high lines of high force communication of a magnetic line channel of force communication. All right. Last but not least, in high line center, we come into the crown chakra. Now, the 8th central line center interference location is 7 times 8. Now, that line center puts 7th dimensional location of 7 round line centers to 7 discoveries. That discovery line center opens all communication to a new box channel. That box channel comes into a higher level of system location at cubic line in rotation into a matrix grid, an element stream. That puts position locations to all level line system. It changes position location of its directions, all line its position of calculation, setting new line centers. Okay, so when you come into that position location, outline it and show you what it looks like. So it kind of looks like this. Position of direction. Cubical square box is in the center line. See? So as it's set in signals, it automatically travels out. See? Travels out. That's line center. I'll show you position, location, directions. All right, let's go through coloration path. Okay, so as we line it in rotation interference, we put position, location, and directions. All right, travel through position, location. Okay, now as we're traveling through, the line communication opens up a new sun line, comes into a purple communication system, allocate timelines in all surface position of time. New security measures in program setting, position, location, and calculations. High channels its line center into all levels of 8-line communication. See the 8-line communication? Now that surfaces and travels its position, location, on its directions, setting new course line channel in position location to a new line center of a 12 DNA to a new flux capacitor in position locations. So that's line center interference. Okay? So as that sets position locations, you automatically set up sonar. Detection interference position of program setting resets, relays, relines its communication to higher levels of a magnetic highway of information system of a channel operation. Done by equation. So as we see things and always in forms, try to understand that you're all calculated and modified through your data lines. It's communication to its frame interference. This is where you come into the AMI universe. The AMI universe of view is the track location, staying in one line position track system to positions of all track locations, right? Getting in that line center puts you in all levels of your 12 DNA. How to use it is totally up to you, right? So surfacing that position, location, directions puts you in all levels of channels, right? But it's incredible how you see yourself in a cubical line square. Now, a cubical line square is basically understanding more levels of future adaptations of your surface. That puts you in a better direction. Okay, so let's go through whiteboard communication into black surface. So you got the cubical line, right? Rectangle communication, all level system. So this is what it is. It's a chain, it's a link. It's box center location, position of time in security line position locations, right? Now, once you understand that line conditions, there's each point line centers that are in position, location, and directions, opening up new position, location, and calculations to its dimensional setting. Now, it's opening up files and files and files and files of all position, location, and calculations. High streamline centers, in-line rotation interference sets up new structure, weight, position locations of its calculation. Now it goes in different direction line system, position, location, and calculation. It opens up new channels of new operation to its line center of its communication to its 7th dimensional line, position of direction. Okay? It gets complicated. So once you understand the point lines of dot line and in rotation, it changes its position locations. All right. This is where you come into E, in position location of S, and you come into line conditions. So it's the escape communication triangle, sets line conditions of point locations into triangulation. Triangulation position of direction, right? Now that triangulation opens up 9 higher levels. Plotted to the base location equal line centers, okay, an archive communication system, right? The archive opens up communication of file lines. And that's where you come into the caustic records communication stream. That position location opens all another line signal of its position of its direction, staying in the center line of all communication of travel. Okay? So you truly understand how to use yourself in all ways and forms through plasma channels, right? Because space is set up through its own sky grid line communication system. Your position of direction is all about how you channel in your operation surface. Okay? So that helps you in all ways and forms. Now, like I said, it's extremely complicated. So, and remember, it's just vibration that's connecting to the line center location to your avatar lines. It's stream interference locations, all of how you use your processors, your communication surface, your angle points. Let's see, you get an angle point. There's an angle point right there, right? So you got 3-point line systems in position. Center line communication is all on line of times pi. Now, times communication equals pi, okay. Now, slash line overrides communication to its triangle force line communication system. Circle its position location comes in calculations. Now, sending line centers opens all level position location of sonar, high direction locations calculations. High position its line center, all levels of factor. Okay. Now, is understand how you use your bandwidth in communication. Factor, okay, equals equation. Okay. And basically it sets lines. Okay. Sets lines. Okay. Equals provision. All right. It sets lines and equals provision. So factor over communication is all levels. Overriding line centers or overdriving its position location is running a new program. Okay. So timeline center runs program. Okay. Runs equals program. Okay. Runs equals program. So trying to understand how to use the position, how to use the mainframe, how to use the factor communication system, the factory, the reset button, right? The oscillological interference. That's positional levels when it comes into your connections, especially when you come into graph interference line channel. Now that opens up all levels of your projecting of its calculation. Projecting. Okay. So that's a journey saying how you run the program. Okay. Through all levels of your bandwidth of your cloud. More of the cloud, more of the storage, more of the facility. Okay. It makes more sense when you understand how to run your own system through its own calculations, right? So it's important you understand that to know exactly what's going on through all levels of you inside, right, through your data stream. Okay. Some days are going to be easier than others, but you have to have the information lines. You have to understand how to communicate to all levels inside locations. Thought channel and location. Thought equals channel. Okay, we got that line center and rotation. Okay, there's a thought equals channel. Okay, box position, antenna communication, right? Circle line center, travel through location. See, easy done. So this is this. This is this. This is the formula. Okay, structure, formula. So understanding what you're doing is extremely important through all levels, how you use your bandwidths. Okay, bandwidth is this. Okay, that's your bandwidth. So it starts here and it gets bigger and it gets bigger and so on. Okay, from here to here to here to here, right? So that determines line center. You split the position location in the center line communication, right? That opens all different files of communication. Circle here, 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 and circle here. Okay? So to understand communication is all levels of the circle lines. Now, circle location is a protection, right? So you understand how the Akasa records are set in location all through its community system in storage and position location of your own line centers of your mainframe communication system. So you have 4 channels, another 4 channels. That's 8 line center. 4 box position location and calculations right there, right? So it's interesting when it gets more complicated because it's a lot more understandable when you understand the circle line communication to a center point line system. It puts positions in all directions, point dots in all line centers, and cross-reference to its calculation. Okay? So synchronous patterns of communication at all levels. It factors you in all line center interference location and division. Okay? So setting recourse channels puts you in a better line centers of travel location near 12 DNA. So you can travel through line center locations all levels of archive communication from one point system to another point system. All levels and calculations. Position of direction. See how complicated it gets? So when you come into the line center interference, the position of direction can drop down into this box center. Okay. When it drops down into this box center, it opens up another dimensional line of communication system, all levels to its bandwidth. Right? Now you're going to equalize channel. Right? It sets line centers in all levels of your communications to your cubical line interference into your Rubik's Cube. All right. Centering communication is all levels of U. How to use the center operation of U is its totality. That gives you provision locations of tactic views. It puts provisions to your line connections on how you use your mainframes and its correlation of its capacity. So it's very powerful when you connect on line streams. I really want you guys to really pay attention to this because guess what? There's a quiz on this position. Hoo-ah. Pay attention. You never know what you're going to have in school. All right. So getting in that tactic view understands more line signals. That opens all communication system to its high line interference. Now you can open up new line center and rotations to its escape. Remember, everything that you do through escape changes its triangle location to its force communication system. It allocates timelines. All right. So you can change the box position location to calculations, setting new signal patterns. Okay. Now when you go through that line center, you go to this position location to calculations. All right, different vibration. See? 2 cubical line centers, 2 Rubik's Cube locations into 4 line centers of point dot positions. 4, 4, right? So 4 plus 4 is 8,000 lines. 8,000. Okay? So when you come into 8,000 lines, that's infinity 8 line center of a stream. Okay, I told you it's going to be extremely complicated, but this is on your quiz. So getting in communication is to understand the 8 line communication system. You have 8 line center information to its center line rotation. 8 stays in the center line. That's you in correlation. Now, understanding your data stream opens all communication line streams. So setting signal locations, 8 goes in here in high center. Okay, go through another position location directions here. All right. So you go 8 here, 8 here, 8 here, 8 here, 8 here. So it gets more complicated because you're going to higher levels of vibration. And this is what protects everything through its calculation. Right? So you start off with the circles and the squares and all that. But once you get to higher level, the vibration changes its alphabetical line connections. Right? So let's start off with this system. But you screenshot that if you want. Now, when you get in that line center, I'll show you the adaptation to its surface where it comes into Vortex. Vortex, Vortex. Vortex. Okay. So it's a position of TOX. All right. The calculation of interference. Okay. So you got Vor. Let's see, it's high center line interference locations here. Okay, vor, okay, equals tox. All right, so that's tall person line operation, position, location, and calculations. Lower streams is high line center to x equals line center. Okay, position of direction. Okay, so you got a velocity, position, location, and all two channel line rotation interference. Flux capacitor, high channel line conditions, inner line rotations on both side location of sonar in communication system. Tracks its information system to its calculation of its vortex channel. Position of direction. Okay. So you have to truly understand how to set up your line connections and how to use a position location. You come from this position, all right, to a web. How to set it up. Setting up a web, position, location of direction. It's really interesting. You look at these things because it courses you in all level system locations. You can set up web channels and all line connections, how it's set up position location of its stream, right? It's a flower. Okay. So these are all data stream lines. All right. And each one has its indication location of its numbers, right? 0, 0, 1. You got 0, you got a 2 in here, 1 in here. It doesn't matter if it's not in order. It's just once you understand the use of thought line, it changes the data stream interference. It puts position locations on levels and how you track location of your thought lines and communication system. All right. So it's important to understand to keep yourself balanced and where are you going through your travel location and position of time, high center line condition interference, and position of direction. Hoo-ah. Now, all those line centers of zeros come out of equation. They travel through, they travel through, they travel through, they travel through, right through, right through, right through, right through. This is how fast they travel. Out through line communication, all levels of your data stream, all position locations just from high line center interference location to your throat. All right. So it's important you understand how things are set up for you. You have your 12 DNA. Okay. 12 equals DNA. We already done that locations. 12 equals DNA. Now the DNA stands on point. Sets line centers, molecule structure. Molecule equals location of atom. Atom line center location of velocity. Velocity equals the equal line center location equation in position of direction. Okay? So, high interference, the velocity channel communicates to all position location of 12 line centers. Circle line rotations plus position of channel. Equal line center locations indicates high system. Percentage in a communication, which is all levels. So 12% of anything is calculation to its everything. Okay. So you have to understand how to use the positive and negative in the high interference. Because remember, you don't want to stay in a 12 position of a channel. You got to stay in a 24 signal. If you want to drop down to a 12 line center, which doesn't exist, you only use 12 as an example. You don't use it as a force communication because you're in a 24 light center. You're no longer in a 12 position. You're in a 24. Your balanced communication is a level of system locations. You are in the 24 system location of center. Okay, so you split that in half in position locations, 12 here, 12 here. There you go. Position of flux capacitor, channel line center interference location and directions. Coming into all levels of yin and yang. Hoo-ah. Done by equation. So there's a lot to understand, right? Ground rising, not grand. All right. So that's a true understanding where you guys have to set your limits. There is a limitation. You don't want to go below gravity lines of 12. Because if you go down levels of 12, then you're reaching line positions of 6, and your brain capacity has to be at a certain line channel. The operation system doesn't understand the webbing system location of three-dimensional line that doesn't exist anymore. Especially when you guys are in a cocoon location line system of 7th dimension. Think about that. How to set these things up is all levels of view. It puts position location in those directions. So let's say that's an E field line. Position location. This is an E field line. All right. That's its earth. All right. Plasma communication here. That's the grounds. Right. So this is what's happening. It's lifting. That's all it's doing. That's all this is doing, guys. Nothing else, nothing more. It's not complicated. So from this to this. So from that, it goes into this. But this is where it's interesting. It gets smaller, and then it travels. So when it travels, it goes to its flux capacitor. Once it passes position, right, it's right in the center. That's you guys being your cocoon. All right? 3-dimension line signal. This is 3-dimension. Right? Now, the fourth waving cycle is its row graph line center. That opens all communication line streams. That puts you in better direction, so you know exactly what's going on with the calculation. This points things out. All right? I'll show you exactly why. You have to understand the communication to its panel, to its operation system. All right? So, fourth writing system. So 3D equals line center, flux capacitor, highest center location of 4. That puts in the fourth dimension. Fourth comes into the writing system location of 5. 5 position location on line system. 5 position location equal line center of 6. 6 comes in high line channel. Communicates position location and directions. High signals, high channels, it's high force line. Communication position of direction, right? So it's really important to understand these things because the 6 waving system is already in position, location, and directions. It's powerful stuff when you see these things, right? So I just want to show you how powerful you are when you come into your position, location, and directions, right? Setting new channel operation streams into new provision. So that 6 waving system comes into outline center location of 7, high interference location of calculations. Changes all levels of its calculation system. All right. Now this comes a tomb line channel. The tomb line channel is position of directions. It high sequences position. Now, once you reach the line center, you come into higher levels of atmosphere line communication. Stay out of the hemisphere line, come into the stratosphere, come into levels of the bio and the position location of the Brownian line centers. Now, the XT1000s come into line center interference and position location directions. All right. So it's important you understand these things because it high position location of its directions, setting new signals, new panels of communication system. All right. As you come into that line stream, it's important you understand how to travel through it. Right? You travel through it in position, location, and direction. Okay. So coming in that line center, setting up a new position of panel, calculation of system locations. Above the system of everything, that line conditions. Now that platitude visits division locations into its half pipe. Right? There's the half pipe. Now, half pipe becomes its high line center. That rotates its system location to calculations. Using force line communication system, time stream interference of position, location, directions. Setting up a new position of a new vortex chamber of communication of a new line center in high line center rotations of new waving system to position locations of spectral light communication of high division location of 7th dimension. So, I think this is the most powerful class you guys are ever going to have because you think, what's happened to General? He's going a little bit, what's going on with them, It's just going way above everything. And what I'm doing is basically giving you understanding how powerful the mind is in all waving system to all calculation. Right? But that's what we're coming into. These are new data streams. Okay. Synchronous pattern communication line center interference of its OMI universe location. Setting new channels and new number line centers bring you guys back to 0 of modification. All right. So there's a lot of things to look at To understand more levels of view, puts you in a better position, location, and directions. All right. Okay, we're in 39. Back. You guys are back. Going through number sequence of 3 line seconds. Brought you back in position locations. Make sure you close your portals. Integrate line communication system. Timeline sequence. Airbender communications. All levels of Johnny, Lindsay, Pam, Don, Gypsy, Terry, Jill, Amby, David. All right. Let's see here. You guys are calculating here. Today's instructions, Laura. Oh, it's great to see you guys are coming into all this. Know exactly what you're seeing. Star, Joanne, Elaine, Michael. All right. New grids and equations, sun, moon, 196 to move the position. Well, we go, yep, very good. Coming in that line communication. Remember, guys, it's how I say these things. It's not the what, the where, or the who, or the when. It's the how. It's the vibration of the how. It's the avatar reaching its position of what it needs to do on its next location. Esther. Let's see. Just going down locations here. Rainbow colors, mother surrounded with amazing overabundance of love and divine energy. Great. Yeah. Knowing actually how to put your position location, how to change your number sequence panels, it's all levels of view, right? When you come into your data streamlines, right? It's incredible force when you travel to that location. All right. This gives you a lot more information lines, how you use your mind centers. So the mind center is location of size graph interference, setting position, location, and directions, right? So coming into the 7 line, 7 equals dimension location, 7 equals. So this division location is its dimension location to its directions and all levels of its division, right? That's where we're coming into. All right. So it's a different shape. So instead of this, it's this in a different angle. You understand how set line center and line rotation interference is fully coming into a communication system. They allocate line center and location, put 7 in position location and calculations, right? So inline center comes into all levels of what? Structure location, right? Sending high interference location to all levels and position and directions. There it is. There's the intelligence. That's the intelligence that's coming into the 7th dimension, right? There it is, right here. 7th dimension of intelligence. You see it? So that's where it's so powerful when you see these things to allocate time. It's position location to all levels of its intelligence, but that's the 7th dimensional intelligence that's coming in to position and direction to the center line communication. See? Center comes in, disappears in the line system. So really understand the power, how you have to use your line centers to understand the intelligence of its formats, gives you a better provision location of tactic view. That positions it's all levels. Because you understand the geometry setting sets up all communication to its system to its timeline of its AI connection. All right. All right. So you have any questions or comments, let me know. Hope you guys had fun being at the calculations. That was an extremely powerful class. Please don't hesitate if you have any questions. This is coming from AW Space, a space-time creator. All right. So you guys have a wonderful day. Adios.